All right, you are welcome back to class. This is class 8 of our ongoing continuous professional development program for teachers. And we are still considering learning styles of the students in the classroom. So far, we have seen 15 learning styles of the child. And before I continue, I want to say this. Many a times we focus more on teachers' methodology. But I must say that teachers' methodologies are not enough. Teachers' methodologies must actually cater for learning styles of the child. So if a teacher concentrates more on his methodology, I know the methodology I want to use, this methodology I want to use. If you do not understand the learning styles of the child, your methodology may actually not work at the end of the day because it is not the same methodology that works for A that will work for B. That is why it is important for you to have knowledge of how exactly do students learn in your classroom. If you know how they learn, then you can adjust your methodologies to cater for all of them. Now, we have seen 15 learning styles in our previous class 7. We want to look at another set of 15 learning styles in this class 8. Again, fasten your seat belt and let us proceed on this very interesting, exciting, fact-finding and eye-opening flight. Let's go. Number 16, that will be observational learners. Observational learners are those learners who learn through observation. They observe others, they observe things. They may not talk much. Many a times, solitary learners, independent learners fall under this category. Reflective learners also fall under this category. They observe a lot. They observe beyond what you even think. And by the time you are teaching chemistry or physics or any subject that has to do with experiments, beyond what others are seeing, they are observing. They are the students that will tell you there are sediments in the funnel. So if there is the by the time we pour the liquid in the funnel, is it going to affect the weight of the funnel? Others may not even think along that line because what they think is the funnel is 2 kg and then the the liquid itself is maybe 4 kg and all of that. Nobody is factoring the fact that there could be remnants of the liquid in the funnel. What do I call it? Observational learners will take note of that. They take note of what others do not think of. And if you have observational learners in your classroom, like I said, in subjects that have to do with experiments, oh, they come handy. If you are teaching drama or you are going into practical aspects of drama, observational learners are very good when it comes to directing movies, when it comes to production, because they can observe the slightest issue that others will most likely overlook. How do you cater for observational learners in the classroom? By asking them questions, by getting feedback. Your formative assessment comes in handy to take care of observational learners. If you wait till the end of the class and you are using progressive evaluation, observational learners are going to be at a huge disadvantage. But as lesson continues, do you have any question on what we have just discussed? We have discussed elasticity of demand in economics, and we say its degree of responsiveness of a slight change in price to the quantity demanded to a slight change in price. And then you have discussed the perfectly elastic demand, perfectly inelastic demand, elastic demand, inelastic demand. Do you have any observation? As you finish perfectly elastic, you ask for feedback, you ask for questions. For observational learners, it will definitely bring something out. And whatever it brings out may help you to be able to give more insight into the teaching learning process. That's observational learners. I think Peter in the Bible is a verbal learner. He's also a social learner, and is also an observational learner. Most of the questions in the Bible that the disciples asked Jesus Christ, they were from Peter. And that helped that helped others also to be able to get more information and explanation on some issues that others might have overlooked. Now we have the next one, the collaborative learners. Just like social learners, they learn through working with others towards achieving a common goal. And you would see them. They don't hide any information. They don't hide any material. Whatever they know, they share. They collaborate. Apart from classroom teaching, those kinds of students, they have high chance of making it in life. Because in 21st century, collaboration is key and is a vital skill. In real life situation, there's going to be more of collaboration. And in business world, there is there is uh, there is greater breakthrough when there is collaboration. So in the classroom, you see collaborative learners sharing what they got from the internet, sharing the materials they read at home, sharing their experiences. And in the classroom, when collaborative learners are in the classroom, even the teacher enjoys it. And after the teacher has left the class, learning continues with collaborative learners. Next, we have the competitive learners. Competitive learners, they learn through competing with others to achieve a goal. I know what comes to your mind. First and foremost, when I say competitive learners, oh, this is negative. But I don't want us to say anything negative in all the learning styles we're talking about. As a teacher, you need to just know, first and foremost, identify what is the learning style of this child and how do I cater my teaching methodology to this particular learning style as well. Competitive learners, in a sense, it's not that they deliberately hoard information. But one thing about competitive learners is their best does not come out until there is something to actually struggle for, until there is something to fight for. And how do you take care of their needs? By giving weekly tests, by giving impromptu tests, by giving, by attaching rewards, no matter what it is. Competitive learners best will not come out if it is just, if you are just saying, let's just, what is important is for you to assimilate, what is important is for you to understand. Competitive learners are not wired that way. The way competitive learners are wired is for them to have something that they are driving towards. Oh, they said they want to know the first student that will finish the exam. Oh my, you will see competitive learners' ability coming up. Today, I want to teach you electromagnetism in physics. And when we finish this topic on Friday, I want to see how well you have mastered it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be having King of Electromagnetism. I'm going to be having King of Heat Energy. I'm going to be having King of Projectile. I'm going to be having Kings of or King of Light. And you see the best of competitive learner coming out. Not necessarily because he wants to run down others, but there is this internal motivation that drives competitive learner whenever there is something to fight for, whenever there is something to compete for. So when you discover that you have such learners in your class, you begin to bring in such exercises that will propel them. For other types of for collaborative learner, he does not even need to know there is going to be a test. He does not need to know there is going to be a reward attached to it. He naturally will discuss whatever he learns with others. Even at home, he will be sharing with the parents. But for competitive learner, he may never pick his book until he knows that there is a test coming up, there is an exam coming up, or there is a competition coming up somewhere. We have contextual learners. They learn through understanding the context and relevance of information. They're just like global learners that I've explained in the previous class. They want to know what exactly is the like the deep learners as well. They want to know what exactly is the context of and the relevance of what we are teaching. And that is why you see, sometimes ago, I was told the story of a young man who dropped out of university, not because he's not brilliant, but he felt that what they are teaching him is not relevant to anything in life. He looked through all the courses they are teaching him and he kept asking the lecturers, so what are we going to make out of all of this? And they said, this is part of the curriculum. Well, what is part of the curriculum? And so he opted out, and today he has become one of the icons in the society. For contextual learners, they are after context and relevance of information that is being taught. If you introduce Chinese language to the school, for instance, and you begin to teach them Chinese language, and then you begin to say Tao Shan Hao, Wa Shan Hao, Xiao Hao, She Sheni, Bukochi, Pon Your Men, and so on and so forth. He may not show any interest. But the day you come to class and you tell him that, do you notice that in Lagos alone, we have over 1,000 Chinese companies, and each one of them, they employ nothing less than 100 employees. So multiply 100 multiplied by 5,000 companies, and they are looking for employees who can speak Chinese language. Of course, they have not got enough, because throughout Lagos, we don't have up to 100 Chinese language speakers. So you can imagine, if you are able to speak Chinese language, all these Chinese companies in Nigeria and in African companies, immediately you get job with them because they need translator. Let me even tell you about one of my cousins who did that Chinese language and got to Lagos and got one Chinese company, and he told them he can speak Chinese language. Immediately they gave him a job, and they are paying him around 250,000 naira per month, or 350,000 naira per month, or 500,000 naira per month. The day you do that for a contextualized learner, the way we begin to learn Chinese language will be different. You see, contextualized learner just want to know the relevance of the information you are giving. If you are teaching French language and you tell contextualized learner, I traveled by road, and when I left Nigeria, I go to Togo, I discovered that I became an illiterate. I couldn't talk with anybody. The immigration officials started having issue with me. I got to Benin Republic, the same issue happened. And then I moved to Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, the same problem happened. That's when I discovered that if you are speaking English in Nigeria, it is because you have not traveled out of Nigeria by road. All our neighboring countries, they are speaking French, and you will just discover that you can't do anything without French language. The day you say that to a contextualized learner, a contextual learner, that's the day we begin to learn faster French language. You give them context. Any topic you are teaching, any subject you are teaching, let them know what's the context and what is the relevance of what you are teaching. That is very, very important. Then we have relational learners. Relational learners, they don't confuse relational learners with social learners. Like I said, social learners, they learn through interaction with others. But relational learners, they learn by relating different concepts, by understanding relationship between concepts. That's relational learner. A relational learner is the one who will tell you that, okay, we did variation in mathematics, and we were taught direct variation. We were taught inverse variation. We were taught joint variation, and we were taught partial variation. Now, when we were taught direct variation, we were told that as one variable increases, the other variable increases. Because they vary, that's why we came across the name variation. So the amount of rainfall to the rate of growth of plants, that is direct variation. The more rainfall you have, the more the plant will grow, direct variation. We were also taught inverse variation, that as one a variable decreases, another variable will increase. Of course, there will always be a constant that will not change. That is what you taught in mathematics. A relational learner will relate, we will be looking for relationship between that concept. And when you get to chemistry, a relational learner will now see Boyle's law and Charles' law. The Boyle's law states that the volume of a given mass of gas is inversely proportional to pressure when temperature is constant. Say, wow, that is what we learned in mathematics. It's able to relate that concept to what we are learning in chemistry. And you know that many of the things we learn in many of our subjects, they are interconnected and they are related. For relational learners, they can relate anything you teach, any concept you teach, to any other concept, either in other subjects or in real life situation. And they are delight to teach. And they always have the like I said, life application of concepts that you are teaching. And if you are in commercial or in arts or in sciences, relational learners can always find the thread that runs through those subjects as you teach. We have convergent learners. Convergent learners are those who focus on a single solution or answer. There cannot be two answers. And that is why you have more convergent learners in sciences. Because if you are working on a particular topic, in mathematics, you can always get only one answer. See, these learning styles we're talking about, they are natural. They are not things that the students learn like we learn teaching methodology. It is we teachers that we go to learn teaching methodologies. You don't, students don't learn learning styles. It comes with them. It's a natural thing. They are wired to learn the way they learn. And if you are a reflective learner, like I've talked about reflective learner in the previous class, though it was the last one I didn't have time to explain or explain it more, you will be reflecting and be doing self-analysis on this topic. Before you go to class to identify the students, you yourself will now reflect, what type of learner are you? And what is your own learning style? And I'm sure you'll be seeing yourself in the mirror of what we are doing this afternoon, this day, depending on the timing where you are. Now, you will not help students better if you yourself have not brought this to bear on yourself. So, teacher, before you talk about the learning style of your children or of your students, what's your own learning style? A convergent learner always look for one solution or one answer to issues. That's why they are better in sciences. Or let me, not even in all sciences, in calculations. Because most calculations will have a single answer. Next, we have divergent learners. They learn through exploring multiple possibilities and solutions. The way they are wired, they don't believe there is only one solution to any problem in life. And that is why even in the classroom, they are good at brainstorming and they can always explore different solutions to a particular problem. So when you are teaching history and you are teaching the fall of Songhai Empire, and you talk about the fall of Songhai Empire, you talk about the weakness of the hand, and they will come up with, could it be that the emperor or the king by that time is also high-handed or is greedy? Maybe he's not taking good care of the soldiers. Maybe that's why they became weak. Or what about the largeness of the empire? If you have 5 solutions, why do you think the fall of Songhai Empire or the fall of Kanem Borno Empire or the fall of old Oyo Empire, they will think of additional 5 reasons why the old Oyo Empire or Kanem Borno Empire fell. They are divergent learners. They could come up with different reasons, different solutions from time to time. You have theoretical learners. They are in the same family with auditory learners. Give them abstract concepts, abstract theories. They are good to go without giving any practical dimension. They will put everything down. So when you are teaching statistics and you are giving them uh, um, definition of mean, the formula for calculating mean, formula for calculating median, formula for calculating mode, formula for calculating standard deviation, formula for calculating variance. You are doing correlation and regression, and you are doing differentiation, you are doing integration. It's okay for them. Even without talking of whatever you want to use it to do with a real life situation, they don't care. They learn through abstract concepts and just abstract concepts and theories. They can quote different theories of Adam Smith. They can quote of John Knox and the rest of them. Those are theoretical learners. For them, they will get the theories, they will write it down for you, they will submit the paper. They can pass everything in monetary economics, and they will get to bank the following day, and they will be asking another person to help them fill the teller. But they understand everything theoretically about banking instruments and financial instruments. We have next practical learners. You will discover that I'm taking this lesson in pairs, convergent and divergent, practical and theoretical, collaborative and competitive. For practical learners, there has to be real life examples and hands-on applications before they learn. So if you are teaching them monetary financial instruments, you will need to bring a check to the class. You bring a teller to the class. You bring invoice to the class. If you don't do that, they won't get anything and they may never pass. For theoretical learners, it's not a problem. If you like, bring check to class. If you like, don't bring check to class. They will still have their distinction. But practical learners, they survive through real life world applications, examples and hands-on applications. I think we had converted many learners in Africa to theoretical learners when we begin to teach mechanical engineering without having carburetors in the class. We have converted many learners in Africa to theoretical learners when we begin to teach our courses without exposing them to real life examples. And that's why we have many graduates today who have certificates but they are not employable because they just could not connect to the industry. They just cannot connect to the real world situation. Yes, we have creative learners. Creative learners, they learn through artistic expression and imagination. You see, creative learners begin from even the way they write their notes, the way they will have their red pen and blue pen, and they will do 2 lines under each subheading. So when you are teaching characteristics of money, and you say portability, you see the way they will write portability, they will even design portability, they will put 2 lines under it, red, and they just want to be creative in anything they are doing. They learn through creativity and they open up more in assimilation when they see creative teachers. Take for instance, you are teaching election in government and you come to class, you do everything you can in election. of course, maybe you also try to bring some teaching materials to class, ballot papers, ballot boxes. That takes care of visual learners. You explain the concept of election. You even explain, some previous elections in the country. That takes care of your auditory learners. And you let them touch the ballot papers and all of that. Takes care of the tactile learners. And they talk about it. That takes care of the verbal learners, the social learners, and all of that. And when it is time for examination, it takes care of the competitive learners, the solitary learners, and what have you. But for creative learner, when you now say all the government students in this school, we want to form a parliament, and then we're going to have the executive, we're going to have the legislative, we're going to have the judiciary arms. For executive, we're going to have election. It's going to be just for government students alone. There's going to be campaign, and then go and buy stuffs and all of that. And by the time you are teaching legislature, you now have the speaker, you have the deputy speaker, you have the clerk. When you bring that creative teaching, creative learners open up. They learn through expression, artistic expression, and imagination, doing things out of the box, not the regular teaching. And then we have the intuitive learners. They are like the second leg of the pair in this regard. Nothing creative as such. It's about gut feelings, instinct. And they will tell you, I think, I just have the instinct that that's how I should do it. Many times they get some solutions that they cannot scientifically prove. So how did you get that? I think it should be like that. They may be right, but it cannot be reliable. Then we have holistic learners. Holistic learners are learners who learn through understanding the interconnectedness of information. They are like relational learners. How do different pieces of information connect together to form a big picture like global learners? Those are holistic learners. I deliberately want to round off with holistic learners because at the end of the day, there is a common ground where all pieces of information should fit together, where everything gets connected. And that is the aspect we are saying that when a patient enters into the office of a medical doctor, the medical doctor has the knowledge of medicine. That is his own area of specialization. But he will also need knowledge of social sciences, psychology. As he's talking to the patient, he's using psychology of the patient to attend to the patient. And many a times, there are some patients that what they even need is not drug. It is just to work on their psychology, and the patient is getting better. But he's also working on sociology. He wants to know, where does he come from? Which part of the country does he come from? So you say it's Yoruba. Which part of Yoruba does he come from? Oh, he is from Ijesha, or he is from Ijebu, and so on and so forth. The knowledge of sociology helps him. And by the times he needs to talk about the calculation of the bill, the knowledge of accounting comes in. The knowledge of mathematics comes in. So he factors that in. But he will need to write down the case notes. The knowledge of grammar and English language comes in. So the interconnectedness of all layers of knowledge is what holistic learner is after. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how we have come to the end of learning styles. When I come your way again, we'll be looking at another compartment of knowledge of the learners. Don't go away.